What's up, gang? Here at the truck stop. This is a requested Saturday video for, I hope I say your name right, Luhdre7215. Just topped off my diesel, and we're getting ready to head to the transfer station to push out the Friday load. Since Saturday is so light, and my first Saturday stop is probably about 10 minutes away from the transfer station, I just go ahead and dump out instead of having to come all the way back to that same area later. And we only have a handful of stops we're going to today, about 6. So I just leave those on the truck till Monday. Weather has been crazy here. It's been in the 70s most of the week. I think today is going to be in the high of 60s. No, but yeah, I think high 60s. Definitely got to dress in layers down here. This weather is bipolar in Georgia. Diesel is at $3.89 right now. I pray it goes down. It was $3.85 the other day, but it went up a little bit. I'll be glad when they stop playing games with it. But I don't think that's the case. Sometimes it'll spit out a receipt. Most times it doesn't. I always keep pictures and keep a hold of my receipts for records. The highway, and it's about a 15-minute ride to the transfer station from here. I really like where I park because I'm only 1 mile away from the truck stop here, and then a lot of my stops I'm not that far from, especially the ones in Stockbridge, McDonough, and then my stops in Atlanta, Morrow, which is back south towards Stockbridge and whatnot. So it was a blessing to be able to park where I do. And then I got a lot of support near me too. There's a lot of real good diesel mechanic shops in this area. And then I'm not far from Nextran, probably about 20 minutes away from Nextran. Places that I get parts from, I'm also centrally located for those too. So it works out. That was definitely God that arranged that. I actually found the yard I'm on. Wow, buddy, really? While on a job for a detailing job I was going to, I'm sorry. That was back when I was still doing fleet washing, and I had an owner-operator. She had several trucks, and she used to park some of her trucks on that yard that I parked on. So that's how I found out about it. Turn our wipers off so we can station used to be owned by, well, it used to be leased by Advanced Disposal. I believe the owner of Latham Home Sanitation actually owns it, and he leases it out. Cool old guy. I've met him several times in the past, especially when I worked for Waste Pro. I used to dump there a lot when Advanced Disposal was leasing it. But yeah, we shall return, boys and girls, toys and squirrels. Our transfer station. Sitting over there, LET2. Can't see it, it's so dark, but straight ahead. I guess he's gonna put a rear load body on it, or maybe one of his side load bodies. I'm not sure. Good looking truck from what I can see. Uh-oh. Drawings right there, if you guys can see. I do a lot of well, not a lot of sketching, but I used to do a good bit of sketching. Still do every now and then. Calling into the scale now. I'm usually the only one here as far as trucks go. This one here works when it wants to. It doesn't spring back like it's supposed to when the tailgate unlocks. A lot of times I have to go out there and move it by hand. any chances. What happened to this big section right here? I think actually two hook lifts did most of that damage, where they had to remove that section of the roof. Keep a long stick, clean off the seal back here. And you never want to walk up under a raised tailgate. See a lot of drivers do it, but I want to go back home the same way I came in, and that's a lie, you know. You don't trust hydraulics. Years ago, at the county, when I first started out, they had me in residential driving in an old, I think it was an Easy Pack Goliath 25 yard, and had a international chassis. It was the 2674 series, something like that. The old square hood internationals. That was a tough old truck. But I had just pushed out at our incinerator back then, and as I was pulling away, had the tailgate raised, and the hoses on the cylinders blew, and it came down so fast that if somebody were under it, they wouldn't have had time to react. Didn't creep down slow. It came down, and man, it rocked that truck like a bomb went off, you know. So yeah, never want to play around with hydraulics. Stop right here right quick. Gotta make sure I close the tailgate good. I always do what I like to call, or what I was taught as a tug test by Mr. Willie Tucker years ago. He trained me in my first howl, 2424. That was his assigned truck back then. He had one of the cleanest trucks on the yard. Everything he drove, he kept clean. Had almost 5.5 tons on yesterday. The good thing about this, you know, I don't pull a lot of weight, so it's not as hard on this truck. But we'll leave here and go to our first stop for Saturday, and it's about a 15-minute drive from here. Only bad thing, the route I take is a lot of deer through here, so I have to be on point. So I shall return, guys.
The hot box sensors weren't working.
All right, everybody, we are back. Headed over here to Sandtown Crossing off of Campbellton Road. We got 2 cans in here that go on Saturdays. There's actually two plazas in one. Where we're going is actually Sandtown Shops. And then Crossing is in the back where the Publix is, and then we have Sandtown Office Park right there. 7 can total. get bags out of the doors. They're stuck like that. But you never know what's attached to it. It can make a big mess all over your truck, especially if you like to keep your trucks clean. Plus, it keeps from making a big mess all over the ground. One thing my operations manager at Waste Pro used to say, Mr. Doug, you know, in our safety meetings, you want to leave each customer looking like you've never been there, you know. Impossible. No trash on the ground. In some instances, you know, you close the gates back if they were closed or whatever. They try to do little things to set Waste Pro service apart from other companies. Didn't really do it too much then, but I understand it as an owner operator now. You know, the level of service you have to give these customers. Enclosures up front are at an awkward angle, but they're larger. The stalls are larger than the ones in the back. Those things are tight. If I'm not careful, I actually hit my mirrors on those. And then the one at the office park isn't that bad. I think a lot of times these developers, they don't really think about us. You know, the width of the truck and everything, the space that we need. It's 3:15 now. I try to be on the road no later than 2:30 on Saturdays. And during the week, you know, about the same time, between 2 and 2:30 now. The new stops that have been added on, it's a must that I get my behind out the bed and get on out here. Which you know, my body has always been trained to get up around midnight anyway. You know, just been working third shift all the years. So, you know, my thing was I'd be awake, but I wouldn't get out the bed. Now we're headed downtown. It's gonna take about 20 minutes to get there. We got a Waffle House near Centennial Park. Before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Carson as always, and a special shout out to his friend David. You guys have a great weekend. All right, gang, we're at our exit. thinking about possibly having a Jake brake installed on this truck. But I want to weigh the options and costs between doing that or having a Telma brake retarder put on. Those things are awesome too. You don't get the cool sounds of a Jake brake with them, but it does. The Telma does save your brakes. You know, essentially what those are is a series of electromagnets that are connected with your brake system. So as you press the brakes, you know, the more power, or I should say the more pressure you put on your brake pedal, the more power goes to the Telma retarder. And what it does is slows the drive shaft down, which slows the truck. And it's a huge difference in driving a truck without it versus driving a truck with it. But the kid in me just loves the sounds of Jake brake. It's the infamous Magic City parking lot is packed. Young kids, I won't tell you what that place is. You don't need to know. For those that know, you know. But yeah. I come this way on Fridays and Saturdays because that plaza we just left is my first stop on those 2 days. Down here near the Richard B. Russell Federal Building. It's coming up. Running downtown isn't so bad, you know, especially at night. It's not a lot of traffic out here. Trying to run this in daytime, man, you wouldn't really get anything done. A lot of stops the cans sit on the buildings, and not in my case, but some of the stops I had at Waste Pro on Saturdays, we used to have to drive the truck in the building, fork the can, back out across lanes of traffic to dump it, then you know, go back in, then back out, head on to your next stop. You couldn't get a stop like that in daytime, you know, especially morning rush hour. That ain't happening. So for this type of work, you definitely have to be a night owl. Get a lot of these stops like this completed in the dark. Where we're going now, this is another one. They temporarily shut the trolley system down, the streetcars. So I don't have that worry in if I were to come in the daytime right now. But that was another issue, trying to pick this stop up in daylight that we're going to. It's a Waffle House diner, and right about now there's a little club traffic, and every now and then I have to get a car to move out of the way of the ramp where I have to roll the cans out. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty chill. It's the Richard B. Russell building right here, Federal building. CNN Center over to the left, and you got Mercedes-Benz Stadium right here. State Farm Arena, I think it used to be Phillips Arena, right there. That's where the Hawks play. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Falcons, if you like them. You know, I'm not really into sports, so yeah. I like the Braves though. I always took the baseball when I was little, so I definitely root for the home team there. That little stand right there just around the corner has some good hot dogs. When I was young, I used to watch Matlock with my mom. For those that are older in my generation, I know you remember that, Andy Griffin. But yeah, the show was supposed to have been in Atlanta, filmed here, and he used to love to have his hot dogs between trials. I grew up on old Andy, back with the Andy Griffith show. Hey, hey. I think that gentleman is homeless. I actually, that light we just came out, I spoke with him one night, briefly. You meet a lot of cool and interesting people out here, and you just never know why they're out here, you know? Some choose to be, and others, unfortunate, just unfortunate issues happen in their life. One of the last times I did dump the Waffle House, there was a person, I couldn't tell if it was male or female, that was asleep on the sidewalk. Looked like they had just got out of the hospital. Didn't have on any shoes. No shoes were beside them. Laying there with a thin blanket over them. I think we got here before the club rush. It's cool. Centennial Olympic Park right there directly in front of it. This gentleman right here, I see him a lot too. You guys may have seen him in one of my other videos. He'll generally just walk back and forth right here. I'll be back. Gotta go inside to open the door up possibly. I don't want to take the camera in there, you know, and spook them. there are people that'll park right behind me. Well, not really park, but they'll sit behind me thinking this is a turn lane. Reminds me of a skit that was on the old Cypress Hill album where this guy was so high he got pulled over by a traffic light, not a traffic light, but one of those caution barricades with the flashing yellow light. Yeah, funny. He thought it was a cop. Yeah, you never know. This time of night, early morning, people may be high, drunk, or just sleepy. They'll get behind the truck even though I got my four-ways on. And they'll just sit there thinking that we're waiting on the red light. Even though they see the cans going up and down, they'll still sit there. Then finally, they'll move. Go figure. Downtown light, you know. I think it's pretty cool, this stop. You got the park right here, the Ferris wheel. Learned a lot watching guys out west, how they handle cans and Caspers. Can see it. That used to be my favorite building when I was a kid. I used to like to watch the glass elevators go up and down. My dad was always spontaneous throughout our childhood and up into the later years. You just get in the car and drive. We wouldn't have any real destination. Just go out and see the city, you know. He'd bring us downtown. That's back when the horse and carriages were real big. We used to love to see the horses when we come down here. Beautiful horses. And those carriages were nice too, looking back on it. I always like to see the buildings down here and the old garbage trucks. I remember being a kid and coming down here seeing those old barrel garbage trucks. I can't remember if they were Trucksmore bodies or if they were Packmore bodies. But I remember coming down here at night, you know, sometimes, and just seeing those things work. How the guys would load them by hand and whatnot. some days my dad would take us around the airport, you know, and just watch the planes take off and land. It's pretty cool. Memories like that stick with you, you know. So I tried to do things like that for my kids. You know, just not even have a destination, just get out the house and just drive. A lot of times I take them to the same places my dad used to take us, you know, as kids. I miss the old man, but, you know, I know he lives on inside. Memory, and I know his spirit lives on. We're headed to Buckhead now. Got a seafood restaurant. Big Catch. Keep saying I want to try them out. I'm a big fan of seafood. Raised off the Mississippi River. I'm from the Delta, so yeah. Seafood played a big part in my upbringing. Just something about being down here, you know, at night, early morning. All the lights, it's kind of peaceful. You wouldn't expect that from a city, you know, background. But yeah. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, big truck coming in. Says that the poor will always be amongst us. I don't know if I told you guys, but I may have in a previous video. Forgive me if I did. But the Friday after Thanksgiving, my son and I were out on the route. We came across a homeless gentleman, older guy, that had been hit by a car. He was laying out on the ground in the freezing cold rain. It's crazy how heartless people can be. I came out the womb loving trucks. But yeah, his station that he worked at was actually down the street from my grandma's house where I grew up. And my mom and my grandparents would take us up there to see him, you know, when he would be on duty. They used to have a yellow-green, bright yellow-green truck. And I can't remember if it was one of the old Macs or if it was one of the old Fords. I want to say it was a Mac. Because, you know, the cabs of those trucks were very similar back then. I think it was Mac CF. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, for the truck enthusiasts out there. But yeah, he would put us in the seat, you know, inside the cab, let us blow the horn and everything. Man, being a little kid and blowing the horn of that fire engine, oh my goodness. Indescribable feeling as a little kid, you know. Yeah. I just always had a passion for trucks, especially garbage trucks, fire trucks. Got a lot of respect for firefighters because of my uncle and just what they do, period. So, you know, any firefighters that watch the channel, hey, big kudos to you guys. True heroes in my eyes. When other people run from danger, you guys run to it and through it. Much respect for all the EMTs out there too, you know. Society definitely can't do without you guys and ladies. Get off on our first exit up here, Lenox Road. I think it's actually exit number 2. We're headed to our next stop. Then from that location, we got a good little ride ahead of us. We got to go to a little town called Milton, Georgia, which is right outside of the city of Alpharetta. Across from Roswell. And the way I go now, it saves a lot more time. The only thing I, you know, kind of get a little about, I don't get to see that Roswell TE anymore. It was a Mac TE with a New Wave Mammoth body, all red and chrome. Man, that was a pretty truck. I would see him a lot on Saturday mornings. There's a guy that I'm friends with on Facebook and Instagram, John Grosso. This driver that I normally see on Saturdays for Roswell and that Mammoth, he reminds me a lot of him. Same beard, same cool demeanor. John is real cool. Been social media friends for a while. Great guy, real positive. Loves his coffee. He drives front end. Used to be for a large mom and pop up where he's at, RJ Waste. But they got bought out by Waste Connections. RJ had some real cool trucks. They were all done in breast cancer awareness logos and everything. It's kind of sad, you know, Waste Connections painted over them in their colors, but you know, every dynasty comes to an end. I'm friends with RJ on social media too. He's a great guy. He used to give me a lot of good business advice, you know, and encouragement. Right along with Stephen Dickey. You guys know him on social media. Stephen's a really good guy. I think Stephen's in New Jersey. So, Dan, if you see this, are you familiar with Stephen and his company? I can't think of the name of it right now, but he's got some nice equipment too. I want to say he has 2 or 3 Mack front loaders with mammoth bodies, and I think a couple Peterbilts, one with a mammoth and one with a McNillis, I think. And he's got a ton of roll-off trucks. Great guy. He gives me a lot of encouragement too. There were times when I really wanted to just quit this and go do something else. Steven was one of the guys that really, you know, told me, and RJ as well, gotta keep going, baby. They tell me, especially RJ, hey baby, keep going. Keep going, don't give up. It's one of the most important rules of business. You have to have thick skin out here, you know. Being an owner-operator is not as easy as some channels make it look. There's gonna be a lot of days when you just feel mentally overwhelmed more than anything. But I will say, at the end of the day, just having that freedom of having your own, oh man, it's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And then for me, just having that boyhood passion of these garbage trucks, man, especially these front loaders. I still get excited whenever I see another truck pass me. I'm like a little kid all over again, you know? Even though I'm in one, I still, that fire is lit every time I see another truck. I actually passed a really nice, newer CNG Peterbilt 520 with a triaxle body. Well, it was a triaxle chassis. Big Howe body on it. Waste management truck. I noticed in the fleet here on several yards, they got a few triaxles, which is kind of weird because you can have them in Georgia, but because of the bridge laws, you can't legally have that axle on the ground. Weird. But every state is different with that. If you look at states like Michigan, man, their trucks may have up to 7 axles, you know, because of their bridge laws. Yep. Then in Florida, they mandate that you have to have 425s tires on the front. I'm not sure what that does, you know. 425s are nice if you got to go in the landfill all the time, but a 315 and a 385 does the same thing, to be honest. I think 315s are better. This truck originally had 425 tires on the front. Those things are big and heavy, and they do cause a lot of strain and wear on your front suspension. And I noticed a huge difference in the way she handles when I changed them out to 315s. Eventually, I'm going to change all my tires out to 315s. Right now, I'm running 11 Rs on the back, 22 5s. But as soon as I'm able to upgrade, I'm going to go with 315s all around. That's supposed to give your truck a stouter ride, a better ride, actually. Oh, wow. See some sights out here. Oh, boy. Have to stay focused. A lot of temptation out here. So that's pretty cool. They paint murals on the building over here, but they're all advertisements. instead of just putting up actual pictures, they actually have artists come out and paint them. Pretty cool, because they do some awesome work. I wouldn't doubt if somebody's sleeping in that van. There's a lot of people sleeping in cars on the route too. Me and another driver, he's a veteran over at DeKalb County. We were talking about that this week. He was telling me how they were saying on the news how many millions of people are sleeping in their vehicles. Oh, she's heavy today. What in the world y'all got in there? Normally she'll throw this can right up. Wouldn't believe it, but this food waste gets heavy. Especially from this fish restaurant. And I think a lot of the other businesses that are left in this plaza use it too. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm glad they chose to put a slant container back here. Don't have to bang it. So if you can see, there's a complex right there, residential complex. I'm thankful because any stops that I have that are right on houses or apartments or condos, or even some of the condos that I do go in early, nobody's complained. Even though I have to rev the truck up, I don't slam the can, so they may hear me, but you know, I'm not making excessive noise or anything, which, being a night rider, you gotta know how to be quiet out here as much as possible, you know, in a respectful way. Because there are some areas where they don't want trucks, they don't care how quiet you are. There are some cities down here, small cities, you can go in them, but you gotta wait till a certain time before you can touch any stop, or they will arrest you or fine you. We got about a 25-minute ride to the next stop, so I shall return. Alright, we're in the city of Milton, coming up on our next stop. Sometimes they'll get spooked and actually chase you. But he's looking right at me, or she. Wow. See? Took off running. Got a good size to him. Wow. Just went through the grass over there running. Ha. like seeing deer from a distance, but they're not the sweet little innocent animals that Disney made them out to be. Like in Bambi, deer will chase you, especially if they have young around and they're in the group. That they gave for each truck was unbelievable per month. I was told they were only allowed, I think like 800 per truck, something like that. One part can cost you that. That's part of why I was telling Daniel O'Connor, I hope you guys have been following him. He has some great footage. In-cab, driver POV. Really good guy. But I was telling him in one of the comments about the truck that I drove at Waste Pro. You know, it was a good truck. I liked it. 2909. Man, it's just the neglect that had been subjected. It had been subjected to. It was just crazy. The saddle pads were worn out on the rear axles, so if you weren't careful, it tail, which is scary in a big truck, especially if you got a lot of weight on it. Didn't matter if the road was dry or wet. Really had to learn that truck quick, because my very first night in it, it did that to me, getting off on, where was I? Cascade Road, I think, or Campbellton Road on 285. And it's a deep curve. Now, I took it like I normally would in the rental truck that I was in at first. This truck here almost turned completely around on the ramp. And I would write that truck up every night. And they would tell me they couldn't find the problem or couldn't get it to duplicate. Or they check off items listed do not affect the safe operation of the vehicle. I'm like, wow, really? Okay. I never forget, they removed my top door cylinder for no reason at all. No reason at all. And put a chain on it. And didn't tell me either. So I came in that night, to do my route, and the route I had was scattered. I averaged about 250 miles, or better, depending on what night of the week it was. So I stayed on the expressway a lot, especially going down south. I was on Interstate 20, 285, and a lot of riding from stop to stop, 75 south, and coming back up north. So I needed my top door working, because I used to do a lot of packing on the highway, which I don't recommend to a rookie driver, because it takes a lot in the mirror. We didn't have hopper cameras on the trucks then over there, so I depended on my top spot mirror. But yeah. They removed it one night, and I went to work it and noticed, okay, my top door is not moving. Climbed up there and I saw it. I'm like, where the heck is the top door cylinder? And I saw the chain, so I questioned them about it. I'm like, yo, why did you guys take my cylinder off? I need my top door. And I never got an explanation for it. And as long as I was in that truck, I don't think they put it back on. So like I was telling my operations manager, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And I told my supervisor too. Why would maintenance do that? Why would they remove it? Nobody had an answer. I'm like, y'all do know if I get a ticket for things flying out of the truck because I can't close my top door, that's on me, not the company. DOT get behind you and see an excessive amount of stuff blowing out of that truck. Well, they're not going to look at it that it's a waste pro problem. They're going to look at it like it's Joe Blow's problem who's behind the wheel. That's just how that goes. Yeah, they did a lot of interesting things there. There was another night, they had a chain connected to my battery box cover and to the arms. Now, during my pre-trip, I didn't notice it. And that's part of doing a thorough pre-trip. But the way they had the chain situated, I didn't see it. So once I got on the route, I kept hearing a noise. Then I get out and I see my battery box kind of twisted from where they connected. They welded the chain to the battery box some kind of way and wrapped it around the torque tube to the arms. Yeah, had some interesting knockout, drag out discussions with the mechanics there about why they would do certain things. And on that one, they apologized and said they were doing some welding to the battery box itself and forgot to take the chain 2 more stops to go. We'll be back in a few. We're on Peachtree Industrial now. Headed to an extended stay that goes 6 days a week. Started servicing this stop, I used to see Chamblee police here a lot. A lot of EMTs used to be over here. I don't know what was going on, but it mellowed out a good bit since then. Said once I got to a good point in life, I'd like to get one of those, an RV, one of the big ones. I've seen some with the tractor trailer chassis on them, or a tractor chassis. It's stretched out, a nice RV body on it, camper, or whatever you want to call it. Tailgate alarm works when it wants to. What it is, every now and then the tailgate will kind of move, and that limit switch will actually spring out, making it seem like it's open. Out of adjustment just a little bit. So on Saturdays we get what my lead driver over at Waste Pro, Mr. Slappy, used to call windshield time. Say, yeah, on Saturdays you're gonna get a lot of windshield time in. So our last stop is about 20 minutes away from here, and then from there about 20 minutes away from the was happy yesterday. I got over here pretty early. Didn't have to get stuck in my usual spot. We are a couple minutes away from the last stop of the day. Made good time. It's right at 6 a.m. now. And I believe I started at 2:15, rolled off the yard. After refueling, I think it was like let out the 3 then. Somewhere in there, close to 3. When I left the truck stop. Yep, got to our first can after leaving the transfer station. First stop was 3 a.m. So I usually average between 3 and 4 hours on Saturdays, just depending on how fast I want to drive and you know. These murals are cool. There's one right here, the Pink Panther sitting on a motorcycle, just like the Terminator was in Terminator 2. I don't know if you guys can see it. That's cool. And somebody keeps moving the cans. I don't know who or why, but every time I come over here, cans have been moved. I'm not gonna get this one, just gonna push it back a little. But every time I straighten it out, somebody comes and pushes it back on the other can. Go up under the sleeves, drag it. This is some kind of pizza restaurant or something. This stuff is heavy during the week. Not that bad right now, but some days I come in here, it's like the truck barely wants to lift it off the ground. You know, there's a lot of pizza dough that be in it, a lot of food waste. Sounded like rocks this time. Side of Little 5 Points over here off Moreland Avenue. Had to go get it cleaned up and looking good for Monday. till about a quarter till. Sometimes I'll go to the one off of Buckhead in Atlanta too. It just depends. That one I think is 24 hours. But normally I'll wait till the end of the week, come over here, get her cleaned up. Do it for Saturday and for our week. I can go home now, get a little billing done, send out invoices. So even though the route is complete, you know, the paperwork side still goes on. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in, riding along. We shall be back, if it's God's will, next week. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a great weekend.